The assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963, remains the most scrutinized crime in American history. For over 6 decades, the official narrative that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone has been challenged by researchers, journalists, and even government investigations. The release of newly declassified documents in recent years has only deepened the mystery, exposing critical details that were concealed from the public for generations. What these files reveal is not just a failure of intelligence, but a pattern of deliberate obfuscation that raises profound questions about who was truly behind the murder of America's 35th president. The Warren Commission, tasked with investigating Kennedy's assassination, concluded in 1964 that Oswald was the sole gunman, firing 3 shots from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. Yet from the beginning, this finding was met with skepticism. Key pieces of evidence such as the so-called magic bullet theory defied logic. The bullet that allegedly struck both Kennedy and Texas Governor John Connally in multiple places was found in near pristine condition, a scenario ballistics experts have since dismissed as implausible. Even more troubling was the Commission's failure to fully examine Oswald's background. We now know, thanks to declassified CIA and FBI files, that Oswald was far from the lone nut he was portrayed as. He had been on the radar of U.S. intelligence since at least 1959, when he defected to the Soviet Union. Upon his return to the U.S. in 1962, the CIA and FBI monitored his activities, yet neither agency deemed him enough of a threat to warrant closer surveillance of fatal oversight. One of the most alarming revelations from the declassified files concerns Oswald's trip to Mexico City in late September 1963, just 2 months before the assassination. During this visit, Oswald met with Soviet and Cuban officials, including Valery Kostakov, a KGB officer linked to assassination operations. The CIA had the Mexican capital under heavy surveillance, yet when Oswald visited the Soviet embassy, the agency failed to intercept him in any meaningful way. Even more suspicious after the assassination, the CIA claimed that the man photographed outside the embassy was not Oswald, a claim later debunked by forensic analysis. Why would the CIA misidentify Oswald unless they were attempting to downplay his connections to foreign intelligence? This discrepancy suggests a deliberate effort to obscure the truth about Oswald's activities in the weeks leading up to the assassination. Perhaps the most damning evidence of a cover-up comes from the actions of James Angleton, the CIA's chief of counterintelligence. Angleton, a shadowy figure who ran the agency's most secretive operations, withheld critical files from the Warren Commission. Among these was Oswald's 201 file, a designation used for individuals of active interest to the CIA. If Oswald was truly a nobody, why did he have a 201 file? And why was it kept from investigators? The answer may lie in the CIA's deep resentment toward Kennedy following the Bay of Pigs disaster in 1961. Kennedy had refused to authorize full U.S. military support for the invasion, leading to its humiliating failure. He subsequently fired CIA Director Allen Dulles and vowed to dismantle the agency's Covert Operations Division. To some within the CIA, Kennedy was seen as a traitor to the anti-communist cause. While there is no smoking gun proving CIA involvement in the assassination, the agency's obstruction of the investigation speaks volumes. Another critical angle that the Warren Commission ignored was organized crime's potential role in the assassination. Attorney General Robert Kennedy had launched an unprecedented crackdown on the Mafia, targeting bosses like Carlos Marcello of New Orleans and Sam Giancana of Chicago. Both men had motive to retaliate, and both had the means to carry out a sophisticated hit. Declassified FBI files reveal that Oswald had indirect ties to the mob through his uncle, Charles Murray, a Marcello associate. Additionally, Jack Ruby, the nightclub owner who murdered Oswald 2 days after the assassination, had his own underworld connections. Ruby's sudden appearance at Dallas Police Headquarters at the exact moment Oswald was being transferred remains unexplained. Was Ruby silencing Oswald to protect someone else? The House Select Committee on Assassinations later concluded that there was likely a conspiracy involving organized crime, but the full truth was never uncovered. Kennedy's foreign policy decisions also made him powerful enemies within the military and defense industries. His push for détente with the Soviet Union, including the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, enraged hardliners like Air Force General Curtis LeMay, who publicly accused Kennedy of weakness. More explosively, in the months before his death, Kennedy had secretly begun withdrawing U.S. advisors from Vietnam, a move that would have derailed the military's plans for escalation. After his assassination, President Lyndon Johnson reversed course, sending hundreds of thousands of troops into a war that would last another decade. Was Kennedy's vision for peace at odds with the ambitions of the military-industrial complex? The declassified records suggest that powerful forces had much to gain from his removal. The suppression of evidence did not stop with the Warren Report. Over 1,100 JFK-related documents remain partially or fully redacted, despite laws requiring their release. Key witnesses died under suspicious circumstances, including Dorothy Kilgallen, a journalist who claimed to have explosive information about the case before she was found dead in 1965. Even the medical evidence was tampered with. Autopsy photos and x-rays were altered, according to multiple doctors who later reviewed them. The Zapruder film, which captured the fatal headshot, was withheld from the public for years. At every turn, the truth was buried deeper. The assassination of John F. Kennedy was not the work of a lone gunman. The declassified files proved that Oswald was connected to intelligence agencies, foreign governments, and organized crime, yet none of these leads were properly investigated. The cover-up was not just about hiding the killers, it was about protecting institutions that could not afford the truth to come out. Today, more than 6 decades later, we are still fighting for full transparency. The remaining classified documents may hold the final pieces of the puzzle. Until they are released, the question will linger: who really killed JFK, and why has the truth been hidden for so long? This is not just about solving a historical crime, it's about holding power to account. Because if a president can be murdered in broad daylight and the facts buried for generations, what does that say about democracy itself? The fight for the truth continues. And one day, perhaps, we will finally know what happened in Dealey Plaza. If you found this video thought-provoking and you care about uncovering the truth, watch the video on screen next. It dives even deeper into the secrets they didn't want you to know. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who still believes the official story. The more people who question, the closer we get to the truth.